Hi, this is Phil Spencer, and you're listening to the Inner Circle Podcast, for the fans, by the fans.
Thank you for landing on Planet Xbox. You are now rocking with the Inner Circle Podcast, the premium podcast for Xbox. Today we have a very special guest from, some of you may know her from GTTV. Some of you may have even seen her on some of the TVs in GameStop. Miss Andrea Rene, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? And it's Andrea. No worries. Most people don't know how to say it right, but I'm gonna just let you know and everyone out there.
Okay. I'm sorry, Andrea. I apologize about that.
Hey, no worries. It's all good, man.
Miss Andrea Rene. And obviously, I'm your host, KORXKLL, with my panelists, Mr. Unified.
What's up?
And Bmuny 101.
How's it going, guys?
And today we have a special. We're going to be chatting with Andrea about her career and, her future plans or what's going on and how far she's gotten in the industry, as well as a small perspective piece on E3 and her thoughts about women in gaming. So before we begin, Andrea, tell us how you got started in the industry and started hosting these different shows and meeting these different developers.
Sure. First, I want to say thanks for inviting me to be on the podcast. I know some of my other friends in the industry have come on, so I'm excited to talk to you guys. But
Yeah.
I get this question a lot about how did I get started in the industry? Like how to be, a video game journalist and things like that. I actually got started as a broadcast journalist. I wanted to go into entertainment news. I've always loved doing interviews and red carpets and junkets and things like that. And so I went to school. I had my BA in journalism, and I moved out to Hollywood to start working in entertainment. And at the time, digital video was just becoming a really big thing. Like YouTube had just launched, and people were just starting to access video online. I mean, video from mobile devices wasn't even a thing yet.
Right.
And so I didn't even think that video games was a possibility for a career choice because, at the time, video games media was strictly print. There were, a handful of big websites at the time that were doing a lot of, great writing, but nobody was really doing any video outside of, G4.
Right.
So, I never thought about that, but I was scouring the internet for auditions as a freelance person is wont to do, and I saw an ad online that was looking for a reporter for E3. Now, you guys know, as big video game fans, it's like the dream to go to E3.
It's the dream. Get to live it out.
Everyone who plays games wants to go, and I was like, oh my god, what's E3? So the ad said, we can't pay you, but you'll get a free ticket to go to E3. And I was like, I'm in, please pick me. So I sent in my materials, I auditioned for the role, and I booked it, and that was my very first video game media job, and I was working for a site called The Big Bag, ran by my friend Torrance Davis. I don't know if you guys know him.
I've heard that name before. Torrance Davis.
Yeah, he's an industry veteran. He's been around a really long time. So I actually did my very first E3 interviews co-hosting with the Top Gamer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know if you guys know him or know of him.
We know of him.
Yeah.
Everybody heard
So we
about
were
him.
both like super green back then, like a little wet behind the ears when it came to doing video game coverage. So that's where I started, and ever since then I just got hooked. I was like, I want this lifestyle, like it's so exciting. I love playing games. If I could talking about games, that would be so awesome. But it was a really, really long, hard road from there to get to where I am today. I've worked at several small sites and blogs and online streaming websites and stuff, and it's been a really interesting journey. But I'm excited about where I'm at today and doing what I'm doing now. And yeah, I guess I guess that's kind of it.
I mean, that's a very interesting thing that you're saying because, for us as a startup, we are kind of like in that same boat. We're like, there's a lot of podcasters out there. There's a lot of podcasters for different video game. I guess you could say companies. You got the guys who want to represent PlayStation, guys who want to represent Nintendo. We like Xbox and Microsoft and the direction they're going. We really wanted to put our support behind that. And as an upstart, we didn't intend for it to get to where it is. It's not like we're some super megaton podcast that everybody knows about, but for some apparent reason, we've had this appeal. We've built some really great relationships with people and have had some really interesting and really very popular people in the industry on the podcast. And because of that, we've gotten some name recognition from places like IGN and GameSpot and
Gamertag.
Gamertag came on the radio, came on the podcast as well. So I mean, hearing things like that from you, hearing things like that from Jeff, like it really kind of inspires us to know that if we keep pushing, if we keep working, eventually we'll get there. And I think that's a very interesting aspect that if anybody out there is listening, I think the thing you could take from her story is that, if you really want to pursue something and you're really into it, just go for it. Because you always get people who say that, nah, I can't do that. Or, nah, it'll never happen. But I think that if you keep pushing, eventually you can get there. And I really like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you have the attitude of, nah, it can't happen, you'll never make it. I mean,
right.
that's just the bottom line. If you want to do anything in life, not even if you want to do video games media, anything, like you have to be hungry for it. And you got to work as hard as you possibly can every single day to make your dream a reality. And if you aren't willing to do that, if you're just like, I don't know, it seems like cool, I'd want to do it, but I don't really want to work that hard, then it's not for you.
Right.
Nah, it all comes down to willpower. Just carrying through.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely comes down to willpower. I mean, you're going to have a lot of obstacles. You got family. You got, not to say your family is an obstacle, but you have family. You have, relationships and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, if you really want to try to make it, if you really want to be something, you only have one life. So, I'd rather go ahead and try to do something and try to make it and try to become a part of something that I love to play, something that I love to enjoy as a form of entertainment, than to sit there 10 years from now and say, dag, I wish I should have did that, or I could have done that. You never want to have regrets in anything you do, I think. So that's a very interesting.
All you can do is give it your best, man. That's all you can do.
Yeah. So, Andrea, obviously, like you said, you went to your very first E3, and the experience at E3 is very grand it's like the big stage. It's the big stage for video games, especially the three big companies in Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony.
PlayStation.
Right, of course. So, when you go to these events, I know how hectic it can be, but, how has your experience been at E3? And do you have any games you're looking forward to seeing or playing or hoping that gets announced at this year's E3?
Well, that's a very big question.
It's a multi-part.
Yeah. It's
the old Wood MO.
It's a tick signature. It's a big question.
So let's start with the first part. What's exciting about E3 and my experience with E3. I think that if you've never been to even a fan convention like a Comic-Con or a PAX or even something local in your own city, then you probably have no idea the impact of E3. If you have been to one of those, that gives you a little bit of a taste of what E3 is like. But the difference between, say, like PAX Prime, which is, the largest North American fan convention for video games, and something like E3, is that it's like there's all of this excitement in the air. Like when you walk inside the convention floor, not only are you kind of assaulted with all of your senses of the noise and the lights flashing everywhere and the giant displays and everybody like rushing to and from appointments. It's exciting because everything you're seeing there is new and fresh, and most people have never seen anything that is on the show floor of E3 before. Like everything there is I'm
jealous.
I mean, but you guys said you were going this year.
I'm not. I can't go, but that's all right.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe maybe next year. Don't give up. You could still go.
Yeah, next year he'll definitely be able to make it.
But for me as a professional, you kind of have to shelve that like inner kid excitement to just want to like run around like you just entered Six Flags, you know?
Right.
Like that when you get there in the morning, you're like, I'm so excited. Oh my God. You kind of got to like push that part of you down to really maintain your professionalism. And that's something that when I was younger, I struggled with a little bit. Now that I've been in the industry for several years, it's nothing that I think about now, but E3 is like all business. Like you go from appointment to appointment to appointment all day long and it's back to back. And even if you book yourself like I do with no breaks, you still can't see everything that you want to see at E3.
Oh, yeah,
and there's just no other show like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of publishers there, man, developers.
Yeah. Well, and everybody wants so much of your time. It used to be when I first started that only the major publishers would have like these large time slots. Like you would go to the Xbox booth and spend 2 hours there. And it's the same with like the PlayStation booth or the EA booth or the Nintendo booth. But now everybody wants 2 or 3 hours of your time to see some of the really exciting indie stuff that's happening, which is a shame because there's so much indie stuff happening now, so much more than in previous years because
it drives the market
just
now.
Exploded.
It's really driving the industry, in my opinion, now. So, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, because a lot of publishers, these AAA publishers, are now trying to take more time in between releases because the risk reward is so much higher than it has been in the past. You know, you see some people spending a couple $100 million on a game. If it doesn't sell, millions of units worldwide, then they consider
it's not good.
Yeah.
And that's from a
horrible.
gamer perspective, we're like, what are you talking about? This game was awesome. Like I look at a game like Tomb Raider and how Square Enix looked at it as something that wasn't necessarily hitting their benchmarks. But I thought it was a fantastic game and it sold millions of copies. It was like, how is this not a win-win?
Right.
But the stakes are high. So, and at E3, the stakes are just as high for them because not only is every single outlet that is in video games media, that's doing relevant stuff present, but you also have the eyes of all of the mainstream media as well. Like the one time of year where like CNN shows up and does a piece on video games, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, it's exciting. I'm really excited for E3 this year. Last year was kind of a bit of a weird year because it was the year after the consoles launch. So 2013 was super exciting, right? So we have the PS4 and the Xbox One on display. And everyone's like excited for launch. We're seeing these brand new games on the brand new hardware. And then last year was like a year in. So it was that kind of like crossover year where most of the big titles were still being put out on last generation.
Yeah, right.
Like Call of Duty was coming out cross-gen. Assassin's Creed was cross-gen. All of the games from Warner Brothers, like Shadow of Mordor, was cross-gen. So it's just like, I was really excited for this year because now we're finally getting to see some games that are really taking advantage of the new hardware.
Right.
And that means like better graphics than we've ever seen, more unique gameplay elements that we haven't seen, and some of the stories, that we've come to love. So like for me personally, the one announcement, the only thing I care about at E3, if I had to pick a single thing, I know you didn't ask me that question, but I'm volunteering.
I did in a way. Yeah.
Is new Mass Effect. That's all I want to hear about.
Oh, yeah. That's a great pick.
Fans.
I know everyone's talking about Fallout 4, and I'm like, nope, Mass Effect. That's all I want to know about.
I take Mass Effect over Fallout myself. Yeah.
I love Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite series. I love the story. Wasn't a fan of the ending, but I understand what they had to do.
Yeah.
But it was a great game. And that's a great choice. That's a great story. I'm very excited about going to E3. I think when we get there, because we have we'll have a pretty decent team there. I really want guys to just spread out. I don't want to have us all clustered up together. I just want us to be spread out and try to network and meet as many people as we can and try to talk to as many developers as we can. Because something that I've realized, I think because we're so young in the industry, is that people aren't always going to want to talk to you, or people aren't always want to come on your show or anything like that, or they may give you the information to contact them, doesn't mean that they're going to respond. So that's one of the things that I've learned. Yes, I think that getting out there, meeting as many people as possible, and hopefully being able to continue this trend every year of going and meeting people and networking, I think it'd be really, really awesome. Mike, if there's a game that's going to come out at E3, and it's a surprise game, what do you think would be the game that really gets you this year? Like for Andrea, it was Mass Effect. Do you think yours would be Mass Effect as well?
Yeah, be honest, man. That is the most anticipated game for me. I really, really want to see some footage of the game running.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know they showed some things at I think at PAX, a couple
it
of
was
the other
at
conventions
Comic-Con.
this year. Comic-Con? Okay, yeah, Comic-Con. I knew they showed it somewhere.
Right.
But they didn't show enough for me, man. All they left me to do, was anticipate more. So, I can't wait to see more on Mass Effect. And I think we'll definitely see what we want.
Right.
At the C3. So.
Right. Brandon, your thoughts on that?
Man, for me, it's definitely got to be Gears. I got to give me some detail of what the next Gears game is going to be about. You give me that, and I'm good, man.
What do you think about that leaked footage that came out for the remastered?
I was so excited.
Yeah.
Someone sent me the link last night, and I watched a couple of the upload clips, and I was like, man, that game looks so good running on Xbox One. I cannot wait.
Yeah. You guys, a quick question for everybody. Y'all think it's a collection or actually just Gears 1?
You know what I would like, honestly? Yeah. I would like it to be all the multiplayer maps from each Gears of War.
Like they did with Halo?
With Halo, right. Except, just give me the first game for the campaign.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something. I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah, the more I think about it.
I don't know. I want them to do a Gears of War collection the same way they did the Halo Master Chief collection. That collection was so well done. It looked great. Sure, it had matchmaking and multiplayer issues at launch. Hopefully, Microsoft has got, their stuff together now. But I would like to think that if they did that for Halo, that they would absolutely do that for Gears too, because I think it's arguable that Gears was more or as much as a player in building the Xbox as a brand than any other franchise that they have.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with that. I mean, when they bought it, what they bought it for $100 million, I believe it was. When they bought it, honestly, it's $1 billion franchise. They reported the 4 titles that they released made Microsoft $1 billion. Well, that's $1 billion franchise in itself. I mean, they had to gobble that up before it was multi-platform, and I think it is the second biggest franchise on the Xbox. I think this generation they are really, really trying to bring more franchises to make them just as big. I think Crackdown with this cloud stuff, if it actually works the way they describe how cloud is supposed to work with the physics and things like that, if that really works the way it is, Crackdown might be a revival and might become another big franchise.
I think that's debatable. I mean, I like Crackdown as much as the next girl, but Crackdown has no shot at becoming on anywhere close to the level that Gears and Halo are. Just no shot.
You know why I say that?
Crackdown 2 left a bad taste in her mouth, evidently.
Yeah, you know why I say that is because, for one, you have... Crackdown was like the only game on Xbox, honestly, not saying graphically or gameplay-wise compared to Infamous, but where you can actually be a superhero, in a sense. You have the ability to build yourself up, make yourself super strong, super fast, fly around, and be a hero while trying to protect the city, and it's co-op. I just think that going from the first one to the second one really killed that franchise early on, having 2 different developers and the second one being rushed. If you can get the destruction physics like they're saying, where you can destroy any single thing in the game, it's not like pre-rendered, it's not something that's like some type of CGI thing happening in the background while you're playing the game. Like, if you really can blow everything up in the game and it looks amazing or close to that trailer, I think that game could be a bigger franchise. That and Scalebound.
Wait, did you say bigger?
Yeah, a bigger
Bigger,
franchise.
you mean bigger
Not
than
bigger than
itself?
Gears. No, yeah, bigger than itself. Correct. Yes, not bigger than Gears and Halo, but bigger than itself.
Halo.
Yeah,
Be bigger than Halo.
yeah, no, bigger than itself.
You
Not
heard
bigger
it
than
here
Halo.
first.
Not
Hey,
bigger
you
than
know what?
Halo.
But
No.
they got the right guys. They got most of the original guys that made the first Crackdown on this new one. So I think that they're already taking the right steps in the right direction right there.
Right.
They'll improve upon the first one.
Right.
I really think so. I think the second one, just everybody forget about that. Just forget
Right.
about that.
Right. Well, my most anticipated for E3 is Scalebound. You know me, I'm your resident RPG guy. I love RPGs. I can't get off Neverwinter. I'm addicted. I probably put like $300 in that game already. I can't believe I spent so much money in that game. But but Scalebound, you know, from what Ken was telling us and all the little rumors that we've heard and read, I'm really excited about that game. I really hope it looks amazing. I really hope it pans out to be something special when it releases. It used to be Quantum Break, but they've had so many delays with Quantum Break that I've kind of
2016 now.
Yeah, I don't know if I won't say I lost interest, but it's not as big as it was. Scalebound is definitely the game I'm looking forward to the most. Now, with all these games coming out, obviously we have Tomb Raider releasing at the end of the year, a holiday exclusive. I can't wait to see what that looks like. But the best thing about that is that over the last year, we've had a big controversy about not enough female characters, or shall I say character leads, in games. Some people find the controversy overblown. Some people feel that it's not widespread enough. And we've had this big thing with Gamergate. Some words were said, threats were said. It was a very, very difficult year, 2014. With female characters, women in gaming, and the guys that are, I won't say in the industry, but the gamers, the male gamers in the that support this industry. So my question to you, Andrea, is, what is your thoughts on women in gaming, and do you believe that women aren't, I guess you could say, presented enough as the heroine or as the lead characters enough in gaming?
Well, I think if you ask any woman who likes video games or who works in video games, I think we all would universally agree that we're tired of having the same conversation about being a female gamer. We're just gamers,
right?
Like the rest of everybody.
I agree.
And I think a lot of times the conversation tends to focus on that aspect of it instead of like the actual art and the creation and the actual games themselves, which we would all like to focus on as well.
Right.
And when it comes to representation, I mean, that's just factual that there aren't as many female characters in video games as there are male, but that's not limited to video games. Women have been underrepresented in television and in movies for decades. Mm-hmm. And those are both industries that are far older than that are far older than video games, right?
Right.
So I think because video games are such a technologically inspired art form that one would hope, hypothetically, that we would be more progressive about the way that we create our art and create this interactive medium of video games. Unfortunately, that's not the case. There's still a lot of immaturity in the industry because the industry is still relatively young compared to other mediums. And the general attitude around the industry is that there's this, kind of conventional wisdom that, video games are for teenage boys. Right. When in reality, video games today in 2015 are far different than they were in 1995. Correct. Right? Like in the days, before 64-bit gaming really launched it to the next. Yeah, exactly. It's not fair to assume that most women over 30 are just playing Candy Crush or the Kim Kardashian game, right, on their phone. Granted, there's a large portion of that, but there's a lot of women like myself who, will play Destiny, who play Call of Duty, who play Dragon Age, who play Mass Effect, who play Forza, and play all the games that you would find, on your PC or your console today. I think that the conversation, I would hope that the conversation starts to shift away from the controversy and start focusing on how do we create more experiences to be more inclusive. And that's not just about women. It's about all, race races, creeds, nationalities, sexualities, and gender. Like, I think all of that needs to be considered when you talk about games because, I mean, not everybody is like a 20-something white dude, you know? And I personally like to see characters that are representative of who I am in games, because I'm sure you guys do too.
Right. Yeah,
I want to see my
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say I just want to see more diversity in characters. So I'm all for it. I'm welcoming it, open arms.
I like the fact that
absolutely.
I like the fact that in some games you have your own custom character creations, so you can build the character in your likeness if you want to. There's really, I mean, I guess you could say that's the safe route. That's the safe route to go. But Sunset Overdrive was one of those where it was like you can take any character you want and make them however you want, and they gave you complete freedom to do whatever you want. And I really loved that. I really loved that about that game and about building a character for that game. So that was really awesome. But you know, it's weird because, like you say, it's misrepresented in a lot of media. Not just in the gaming industry, but you look at things like these superhero films, like the Fantastic Four, the new, in the new Fantastic Four film, they have the Storm family is now black. So you know, what I feel like is like if you're going to create a character in anything, you should create them from an original perspective, not change the original character to fit a need or to appeal to a minority or a certain
because that makes it look like, you know,
pandering.
Right.
It makes it look so obvious that they're just trying to do that.
Right. So
I agree. Like that whole Thor thing that happened last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, where Thor became a woman.
Yeah.
But for me, like, you know, you don't need to change a character that the audience has come to have a relationship with. You know, like, I don't think that that's necessary to try to interact with an audience. I think it's necessary to get more characters. And I think that's why we're seeing characters like, you know, Elsa from Frozen become popular and have such a resonance with young girls, is that there are very few female characters that are original that have these kind of supernatural abilities, like that they can play pretend and go, I want to, you know, be a superhero like that when I grow up. And I just want more of those characters to exist. We don't need to change existing characters. Like, just create new stuff. That's what I want to see.
No more Peter Parker. It sounds like Miles Morales is the new.
Well, he's you know, they have multiple versions of characters. He's the ultimate Spider-Man. Spider-Man still exists, and the original in comic books is kind of cheating because you have like multiple universes. It's like no, Peter Parker is Spider-Man in the, you know, the real universe, but in this alternate universe we have this Spider-Man. So no, but yeah, definitely I think there's been a rise in different characters in gaming. How they're represented, not much I can say about that, depending on what you're playing, but definitely a rise in characters, and this more diversity is coming, I think. But like you said, I don't think we need to keep addressing it. It just needs to happen. People need to just let it happen, and the quicker we get off of, you know, who's not being represented, I think the faster things will move. Hopefully things will move a little bit quicker. So obviously 2014, in my opinion, was a solid year for the Xbox platform. We are an Xbox podcast. Do you play it, Xbox, Andrea?
Of course I do. I love my Xbox.
That's right.
She better play it.
There's only one answer on Tick Podcast. so you know, with that being said, you know, we've had some really cool games that come out over the last year. Ori and the Blind Forest was really, really great. I loved it.
Phenomenal game.
What has been
so underrated? I mean, like, I know it got a lot of high scores with critics, but I don't think a lot of gamers who aren't in media know about this game. And if you have not yet played it, or for some reason you've heard about it and you just haven't downloaded it, like, as soon as you're done listening to the podcast, go to your Xbox and download that game. It is so worth every single penny. So well done. I really hope it wins Game of the Year awards.
No.
All right, Andrea, I'm going to go download it.
It was a great game.
Yeah, if you haven't done it, like, what's beautiful about that game is that it has this really whimsical amazing art style that is so well done and really immersive. This really like unique set of characters, and more importantly, the gameplay is super, super solid. Like,
Yes.
back to like a Metrovania platformer with, different abilities and precision timing. If you die or make mistakes in that game, it's not the game's fault. It's your fault because you just weren't quick enough or you didn't execute. And it's so rare to get a game that has that much polish that is really well done. So I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. I'm looking forward to their next couple of titles that they're supposed to be working on. After playing that, I think they're going to have a solid track record. They already have a solid track record with me, just on the fact of playing that game. But we've had some really good games over the course of the year. I love Master Chief Collection myself, as well as Sunset Overdrive and some of the other titles that came out for the Xbox One. But what was your favorite game this year in between, I guess you could say, 2014 and the beginning of this year? And what has disappointed you so far this generation?
That's an interesting one. I'm going to shelve the disappointment for a second.
Okay.
At that. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite games, are you talking about Xbox exclusives, I'm assuming?
Yes, Xbox exclusives, yeah.
I would have to agree that so far my favorite has been Sunset Overdrive as well. Mm-hmm. Another game that really kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people out there. I know that they probably didn't see the sale that they wanted to see, but that game was so well done. Insomniac is so good at what they do, and the way that they built that open world and the character creation and over the top zaniness, that makes it so whimsical and fun. I think that, what that game maybe struggled with and why people didn't get into it probably as much as they would have is that it just takes a while to really get to the good part. And It's tough because as gamers, a lot of us are busy. We have jobs, we have families, we have other stuff going on. We have, a very limited amount of time that we can devote to a game. And so when somebody says, oh yeah, well just give it like 7 to 10 hours and then it gets really good, it's like, that's a big time commitment, like for a movie, like you go sit down and watch a movie, it's like, well, just give it like 30 minutes, it gets good, starts out slow. It's like, no, with a game, some of these games, are like 50, 60, 100, 200 hour experiences. And so you're just scratching the surface if you only play the first hour or two.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. Brandon, what are your thoughts? What was your favorite game so far this generation?
I'd probably have to say Dragon Age and Dying Light were my favorite games so far. Up there with Sunset Overdrive. I think a lot of people just kind of overlooked it because it wasn't your typical Xbox game. And that's kind of one of the things I mentioned before the game came out is that, one of the downsides to Microsoft's fame is that they've been known as a shooter box. So, you got your Halos, you got your Gears, you got, games like Crackdown, which will probably, move units. But a game like Sunset Overdrive, where you got to kind of run around the city and do smaller missions and things like that, I just felt like the appeal to Xbox gamers just wasn't there. But, the other games, Dragon Age and Dying Light, I thought were great games.
Yeah, but neither of those were Xbox exclusives.
Yeah, but those were my favorite games.
What about you, Mike?
For the Xbox exclusive, I'm going to say Master Chief Collection, man. But I'm going to say campaign.
Right, of course.
I'm not going to say more. I'm not going to talk about multiplayer. I mean, you guys already know in past podcasts I've sort of slammed it a little bit with IOU card statement.
Right.
When you get the game, IOU multiplayer. So.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. For me, obviously, I'm probably gonna have to go with probably Master Chief Collection. Campaign wise, I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy playing with my buddy co-op, which is really cool. We experienced a lot of really cool sequences in Halo, from the original all the way even to the new one that we've been recently playing. So that's been really cool, and definitely Ori and the Blind Forest. I really, really like that game. I wish I would have recorded more You know, you always want to say record that, but for some apparent reason, I was just so into the game. I never, like, when cool things happen, I never think about saying record that because I was really into the game. So
I had that moment in Ori. There was that one section with the tree.
right,
We had to go up
the
inside
tree,
the tree as the water's coming.
Yeah.
I did that, I swear to God, like 75 times.
Yeah.
So when I got to the end, I was like, Xbox, record that. I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
And then I found out my friend did it in 2 turns. I was like, damn it.
Wow. Yeah, no, you die a lot, Nori. You definitely die a lot, Nori. I mean,
2 turns.
It's always Ori is just one of those games where it's like if you aim in the wrong direction or if you land, if you don't move just an inch, yeah, you'll get hit and it'll be a wrap. So that's very interesting. Do you want to talk about what might have disappointed you this year?
It's okay. You can do it, Andrea.
You can do it.
Jeff Keighley. Hey, Jeff Keighley did. Jeff Keighley did it.
Oh yeah, what did he say disappointed him?
I think he said was it remastered? No, it was the
I'm trying to remember exactly what he said.
He said what disappointed him the most was that I think it was that the games had to get downloads before you play them. He was disappointed that he couldn't play the games right out the gate.
Yeah.
And, that's a huge problem. I mean, like the whole idea of digital started out as something really fantastic, and they just haven't executed it yet. And not to mention, like, you can't make this digital revolution happen when you're putting a 500 gigabyte drive into your new box, and then each game is 50 gigs. Right. You know, like, so what? I am constantly deleting stuff, and some of the updates, like the DLC or that's like anywhere from 5 to 25 gigs just for like the add-on content in addition to like the, the base game. I'm just like, no way, man. So I agree with him there, but I mean, as far as games go, games that disappointed me. If you guys have followed me anywhere before, you've probably heard me talk about Assassin's Creed and how much I'm a gigantic Assassin's Creed fan. I've been a fan of the franchise for a very long time.
Yeah, I've heard a few things.
Yeah, a few things. I'm definitely was disappointed with Unity. I've been playing a lot of it recently, trying to get to the end game content before E3 because I know, I'm excited to see stuff with Syndicate, but even now, playing after all of the patch updates and after they fixed a lot of the major problems that they had at launch, there's still just so many problems with the game in a way that I'm just like I'm disappointed, but I'm not mad because I still love them so much. It's like, when you're disappointed in like your brother or your sister or like a good friend because they like, they were trying to do a good thing, but they didn't quite pull it off. And you're like, well, like, I'm kind of mad at you, but I don't hate you for what you did. Because you did some really great stuff in the past. And I believe you're capable of doing really great stuff again. I just like, oh man, you really kind of messed this one up.
Those are Halo fans. Those are the Halo fans talking. They're like, you messed up, but you know what? I forgive you. I'm looking for the Halo 5. I can hold out. So
just get it right. Just get it right with Halo 5.
Everything will be okay. The DLC thing is an issue. I think for me, the most disappointing thing is the whole fan logic with these two consoles. Of this game runs at 60, this game doesn't run at 60, this game is at 1080, this game isn't. It's taken over this generation so much that people aren't even recognizing the quality in games or what the games are actually doing, or even if the gameplay is good. It's about resolution this generation. It's about frames per second this generation. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's taking away from what maybe some developer might have wanted to do, because he's worried that his game might not sell because it's 720 or it's 900 and things like that.
Yeah, it's limited. It's limited what they do. Really.
The focus on this resolution to me has really hurt a lot of things, in my opinion. I think it's really hurt the quality of some of the games. Like the Assassin's Creed, like you said, I think they really did that to try to get that game 1080 on Xbox or close to 1080 on Xbox or running good by going the CPU route, which is what the Xbox does well. But in my opinion, it should just really be about the games. And I'm not saying that developers shouldn't say what the resolution is or what the frames per second is, but I think that it shouldn't be a focus on it. And if I was them, when I make the game, I wouldn't even talk about it. If somebody asked me about it, I wouldn't talk about it. I would just say, buy the game, look at it for yourself, judge on the quality. And
well, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, though. Like, you can't not talk about it. Like, you cannot, make it a tentpole part of your marketing plan, right? Like, you don't need to splash it across, like, the box art, 1080p, 60 FPS, or anything like that.
Right.
But, I mean, if somebody asks you about it, you can't say, I don't want to talk about it, because that is going to indicate to whoever is asking that you don't want to talk about it because you're worried about it or you're ashamed of it, or it's not where you want it to be. And I agree that it's been completely overblown. I mean, let's be honest. How many people actually can tell side by side, and, between, the 1080p and the 720p, unless you have an extremely high definition television.
Right.
Most people can't. And I know it makes much more of a difference for PC gamers because that's where you can actually see the fidelity difference in the graphics.
Right.
But for a lot of these console games that have their audience primarily on console, I don't understand why it's become this big deal. I have never once made a buying decision based off the resolution of the game. It's always been based off of the narrative of the game, the mechanics, or if it's with a franchise that I love.
Right.
Right. Well, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever not bought a game because of the resolution?
No.
No.
Not at all.
No. And that's the point we're trying to make.
It's
senseless, man.
It's crazy.
I would rather have a game be scaled for 720p if it meant that the game had more in-game graphical detail.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? A better engine. Mm-hmm. If it meant a better engine and the game and the characters could look more lifelike, the motion capture was even better. Give me 720p. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Wood, man. I just want people to talk about games, like not the details about resolution and the FPS. I just want gamers to talk about the game. I want you to talk about the experience. I want people to say, "Oh, this is what I did," and this RPG. This is the character class that I chose. Talk about the experience of the game because that's what it's really about in the end, man.
Yeah.
Well, frame rate though is important though.
Frame rate is
important. That's what renders the game playable or unplayable.
I agree. Frame rate is more important than resolution.
Way more important.
But but the point that I'm trying to make is, and this is not a biased statement, guys. If you're listening, this is not a biased statement. Even if I was representing PlayStation in the podcast section, even if I was a PlayStation Nintendo gamer, it would still be, in my opinion, it's just you're really handicapping some of these games based on resolution, and it's just a superiority type thing, and it's like a tit for tat type thing. It was like the 360 gamers did it to us, now we're doing it back to the Xbox One gamers. It's just weird.
You would have the same perspective no matter which
no matter
point
what
you were on.
Yeah, I mean, come on, I was playing PlayStation and PS2 over Xbox and GameCube at the time, and same thing with 64. I had a PlayStation over 64, and both those and all those systems was more powerful than PlayStation at the time. That didn't stop me from playing those games. They just had great quality games, and I think that's something Microsoft is trying to bring this generation with Phil in charge. Not to say that Don didn't try. I just think, and this is my honest opinion, I think I'm going on subject.
Dishonest opinion.
Let's not talk about Don, man.
I'm not going to talk about Don. I'm not going to talk about Don. But everybody hates Don Matrick. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody hates Don Matrick for the whole last couple years with the Kinect and the whole rehashing of the same first party titles. But does anybody recognize that there's a possibility that the Red Ring of Death played a major role in investing in new IPs? You had $1 billion accident of new warranties and replacement of parts and replacement of consoles, that a failure rate of I think it was like 50% or higher. That's an amazing failure rate on the Xbox 360.
It was a hindrance, man.
Right, to turn around and reinvest in that and give people free warranties for like 2 or 3 years, or replace their consoles, or build a new console that was better. I don't honestly think that they just didn't have the money to invest in new IPs at the end of the generation. It's the reason why we kept getting the same titles over and over, and the reason why they focus so much on Connect, because the Connect titles, let's be honest, they weren't the greatest graphically, and it didn't take a lot of budget to build some of those titles. A lot of them came from Rare on top of that.
And they sold.
And they sold. They did sell. And then you have the arcade games. Some arcade. You got to remember, 360 was really, really big on arcade and presenting it, with the indie titles and things like that. So I think that played the role in it. But this generation, you have hardware that works. You don't have a lot of hardware failures and things like that. So I think that this generation will see a lot more investment from Microsoft. And Phil has already said that there's a lot of investments. I spoke to Asger Strandby from Press Play, and they said they have several projects that they've been discussing. They just have to choose which one. That's amazing to hear a developer say that they have several projects. Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now, Andrea, before we get out of here, there was a year at E3 that Microsoft had given away the Xbox Slims under the seats to everybody in the stands. Okay, now in my opinion, I don't remember what they showed that year, but I felt that was the only reason why people applauded in that conference, because the conference wasn't that great, and they just gave away these Xbox, and everybody was like, "Yeah, I got free Xbox."
Oh man, this is the best conference ever.
Right, now there's a rumor going around that Microsoft may have a new console to announce at E3 with a 1 terabyte hard drive, and it's possibly maybe a Slim. Now, do you think that they would do that again? Put those Slims under the seats of everybody at the conference?
If y'all two get consoles, man, and I don't get one, I'm gonna be so mad.
I
think that'd be really cool. What do you think?
I think it would be really cool as a big fan of Microsoft and Xbox. I have, really loved, what Phil Spencer has done when he's taken the reins of Xbox. I've known him since my really early days of covering E3. It has been really awesome to see how far up the Xbox tree he's risen to, right? He's all the way at the top now. But that being said, I just don't think it's a smart move to give away Xboxes to press anymore. I think pre-Gamergate, I think that would have been totally fine. I think people would have been excited about it. They would have used them for coverage or probably given them a lot of them away. But in a post-Gamergate world, I think that every decision a publisher or a game maker or hardware maker, makes is going to be so heavily scrutinized. It's like the internet mob just needs to attack every single decision anybody makes, whether you're a nobody or a big somebody. Everyone has an opinion now because the internet has given them that voice. Not that that's a bad thing, right? But I just don't see that as an option anymore. Even though it would be really cool, it'd be really awesome. But
yeah, it would be awesome, but the press will find a way to spin that. I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
And
that's what sucks about being, in an industry that I'm also a fan of. Like, I'm a video game fan and also a video game professional. It's like, I look at it and go, man, I feel like ethics are absolutely important, but it's taken a lot of fun out of the funness of this industry. And at the end of the day, I say this to everybody who talks to me about this. This is an entertainment news medium. Like, video game media is about entertainment news because video games are a piece of entertainment. We're not talking about health insurance. We're not talking about the rules of our police state or our education or the environment. This is video games. Like, stop taking the fun out of video games, please.
Right.
It's all about game politics now. It's all about game.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's playing the politics role. So, Andrea, what is next for you? I know you said you had a shoot this month. I don't remember if it passed or not, but I know you said you had a shoot this month, and you're going to be at E3. Are you going to be featuring on any other things or any plans in the future in another medium?
Yeah, so actually, I'm doing something this weekend with Operation Supply Drop. I don't know if you guys have heard about Operation Supply Drop, but they are a charity that creates care packages filled with video games they send to armed forces, U.S. and NATO troops that are stationed all across the globe and in veterans hospitals. So it's a really awesome charity, and I'm an ambassador for them, and I'm participating in the 4th annual 8-Bit Salute, which is happening this Saturday, May 16th, on Armed Forces Day. So if you guys want to tune in, I'm going to be live streaming at 10 a.m. Pacific time on the Game Trailers Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Game Trailers. We're trying to raise money as part of the salute to help our troops, and I'll be giving away a bunch of games. I tweeted out a photo of some of the games that I'm going to be giving away, and if you guys make a donation of $5 or more, you're automatically entered to win a game. And if you donate $25 or more, you can win 3 games, like a pack of 3.
Well, I will definitely be by to donate for sure.
Good, please.
Not for the games. Not for the games.
For the troops. I mean, you can justify it to yourself however you want. I just want to give incentive for people to come stop by the page and to know about what Upright to Supply Drop does, because we all love video games. Imagine being called to duty, like literally as a soldier, and having to go, and protect American citizens, overseas, and not be able to play your favorite game at night when you're done, when you're off duty. So it's a really cool thing that they're doing. So I'm doing that this weekend. So please, you can come by my Twitter page, and I will have a post going up tomorrow on my website, AndreaRene.com, with more info. I'm also going to be covering E3's press conferences, so that's Sunday and Monday for Game Trailers, again on that same Twitch channel. So if you guys want to watch our coverage, our live streaming coverage during E3, that's happening. And I'll be hosting for GameStop TV at E3 this year. So,
Nice.
yeah, so
you're gonna be really, really busy.
Yeah.
How are you gonna have time to play the game?
Well, you gotta sneak it in the middle of the night sometimes, get it going. But that coverage should be going up in GameStop stores all across the country during the week of E3. So if you just stop by your local GameStop, you should be able to see our E3 coverage.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really great. Especially the supply drop. As a former serviceman, I understand how difficult, that can be. Entertainment is very important for those guys. It really is. Especially when your life is on the line and you're trying to protect us. Much respect to the troops, and that's a great thing to hear. So guys, definitely go out there, tune in to Game Trailers. What is it, Twitch again? What is it?
Yeah,
Twitch?
so it's twitch.tv/Game Trailers. If you follow me on Twitter at Andrea Rene, you can find all of the details. I'll be tweeting it out. And so you can get all the links and everything there, and I'll be posting, as I said, on my site tomorrow with more details well.
That's awesome.
We'll post the links too on our.
Yeah, we'll have the link. We'll definitely have those links up on the YouTube channel on this interview, guys. So definitely click on those links. Support that. Check out the Game Trailers channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/Game Trailers. And when you're done with that, don't forget to retweet this to your friends. Let your friends know that Andrea Rene has been on Tick Podcast, and we had a great time having some awesome conversations with her. So, Andrea, I really want to thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to maybe having you on, maybe later in the year. We can reflect on something that happened at E3 or Gamescom. And maybe Assassin's Creed Syndicate will work.
Hey, I'm excited. We finally got a female playable protagonist. So
right?
Let's have her on after that game's out.
Yeah, we should definitely reach out.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll talk.
That would be awesome. So, thanks again for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, Andrew.
For the fans, by the fans.